All right, so I wanted to go over the HBCU Combine results. I can't find like an official posting from them, so we're going off Sports Illustrated. They have some results. They claim this is everything, but this is not. There's plenty of guys missing. And I realize a lot of guys probably did not participate in every single test, but I'll say this. There's plenty of these guys that didn't do full testing. So I don't know why there's a bunch missing. It's the HBCU Combine and the whole Legacy Bowl. The whole thing is just not as well run as it really should be. It's getting better, right? I mean, they just started implementing the Combine like a few years ago. So yes, we should be happy about progress, but this is also 2024 where, a few phone calls, you can probably get some automated timing. You can probably, it wouldn't cost you an arm and a leg. And it's being done at the Saints facility, so I'm not sure why there should be, all that stuff should not be on hand. And, Saints taking full advantage of all the publicity that they could if they made it a much more, I don't want to say legitimate, but bring it to another level. Anyway, but there's some guys that we were looking at that are missing from this list, so we'll just have to wait for the pro days. But there are some guys that we were talking about that we should kind of watch throughout the rest of this pre-draft process because they did perform how expected. A couple of them performed better than expected. The top guy I have here is Davius Richard. He's North Carolina Central quarterback. He, to me, is, if you are going to be going the Jaden Daniels route, and since we don't have a Malik Cunningham right now, you might want to get a legitimate understudy. So what I mean by that is somebody that can play like he does, like Jaden Daniels does, and fits very similar capabilities. Their tape is similar. And, if for some reason Jaden gets injured and or there's a blowout and you need to pull him and you just want to bring somebody in and still run a similar offense to not shake things up and just, run out the clock, you need to have understudies that can walk in and be them. Davius Richard is the closest thing I can find that you can probably pick up in the late rounds or possibly UDFA. Similar height, he's 6'2 versus 6'4. He's definitely a thicker and heavier athlete. He's 225, but he runs the 4.6 40 and with a 1.6 yards, 1.6 10 yard. Decent vert, decent broad. He didn't do a shoulder 3 cone, but I don't think that's a major issue. So, and again, if you go back to the quarterback sleeper video, he's in there. So everything that you need to know about him for the most part is in there. Some decent amount of tape. Musa, not fast. He did not participate in basically anything. He is not a fast dude. He is very slow. He's a heel striker. He overstrides on his running. He throws an okay ball, but his decision making is not good. I'm not sure about Quinton Williams. I'll have to take a look at him, but definitely fits the size. 6'4", nice big long arms. Not slow, but I expect him to be, him and Musa be in that 4.8 range. But anyway, the next guy that we were highlighting was Jarvian Howard, former Syracuse guy. Big, heavy, knock you to the ground type of hitting. Like this is the guy you don't want to be told to go tackle. So 6'9", 215, not massive, but definitely the right size to put people on their butts. He runs a 4.5, which is expected. Good, solid 10-yard. Could that be better? Yes. His vert is 36 inches for a man who's 5'9". That's pretty good. And a broad over 10 foot, again, for someone who's 5'9", that's pretty good. Shuttle's not great. I would love to see probably 0.2 of a second, maybe more off that. But I also need to say this. These guys are coming from HBCUs where they don't have a massive strength and conditioning staff. These guys are probably finding ways to self-fund to go work with a coach to get them prepped. And if they don't have an absolute bankroll, they're not getting a private one-on-one. Like these guys are working in groups. They're doing their best. That's how some of these things work when these guys are doing their combine prep. They're doing whatever they possibly can to get ready, but between their means and the college ability, it's not the best. So I look at this and I look for guys that have the size, the speed, the tape. And sometimes you look for example, like not a great shuttle for that. But a shuttle is a very skilled. Same thing with 3-cone. Both of these are skilled tests. Like there are a lot. I know I hate to use the word cheats, but there are things that you do in the shuttle and the 3-cone that could easily take off 0.2 of a second. Because think about 0.2 of a second. It's basically nothing, right? In reality. But that's what the first step, right? And how many counting out and having repped how many steps you take to get across and having it highly rehearsed, right? And learning to sell out in the best ways possible to get these numbers down is important. So I mean, that's why I look at the shuttle. I like seeing fast shuttles, and I mean that seeing fast shuttles. And sometimes I'll watch the shuttle and see how they do it, and I'll say that guy can move, but his time might not be great. I didn't get to see that. We mostly just saw the 40s. And when this guy runs, he looks scary. Owens is solid too. Ian Wheeler tested out pretty well too. Came in at 5'10", 203. Decent time here. Same thing. Very similar. But that would be, again, Jarvian Howard is kind of one of those guys where you might want to bring him in like UDFA. Just to be that possibly practice, but then also depth piece. Because he plays. The guy knows he's a good, skilled runner. Next, in the wide receivers, didn't get all the guys we were looking at. I did highlight Petrie. Cook was another guy. Riley's another guy. So this guy, to me, I think, he's a little small, but I mean, we got some good numbers in here. And again, think about these guys really haven't had any really great coaching for this. So you're looking, these guys would probably have to shave 2 or 3/10 of a second off their shuttles. Like a 4.4, you're probably looking at a 4.2. Right? And like a 4.3 is like a 4.0 for receivers. Right? What else? Anything else in here that's really standing out? Not really. I mean, 5'10", 184, that's a good weight. Hand size is okay. Wingspan's okay, pretty decent for size. Good 40-yard. Yeah, so Cook would be a guy that you maybe bring in. Test him out, UDFA maybe if he looks solid. So, I mean, so these guys do have good tape too. Like, they're skilled players. Tight ends really didn't have anybody who stood out to me. I think the guy this guy from FAMU had a decent day, but it's not as explosive. I mean, he's 6'1", 238. Yeah. Offensive line, there's a couple guys we were looking at here, but they're not on the list. Defensive line, nobody we're looking at. Lubert, they don't have Lubert in here. Now, linebackers had some interesting. Colton did not test out well. Came in smaller than I expected. Still has a good tape. Probably a guy you'd still want to consider. I mean, he had a good shuttle. 4.57 for that weight. For that weight's not bad. Not great though. There was a guy who ran like he's basically a defensive back. Was it him? Oh no, it's this guy. And what's interesting is that for Travion Green, running a 4.43 as a linebacker, great. I mean, he's just at 6 foot, 200 pounds. So what does that mean? He could be one of your box safeties. Right, if the guy has no problem working in that capacity, right, has no problem working that close up in the line, in the 7, getting up there in the teeth, that's great. there's uses for that. Being a nickel, somebody guy who can come up as a defensive back, but then also being a crazy threat as a safety, as a blitzer. Now, he's got straight line speed. Terrible shuttle for his size. So he's a straight line guy. It's got explosion, right? 1, 2, 3. There's your explosion. Right? Side to side maneuverability. Nope. Could it be a testing situation? Could he get better at it? Probably, yeah. But notice not too many like actual true linebackers in here. This is actually not bad. 6'2", 4'6'5", that's acceptable. Could probably improve here, which, based upon his vert, probably might be able to extract that, especially with the broad being pretty good. So he's got pop for his size. He can probably, if he can get that to be improve that, and then the shuttle's not horrendous. So that's somebody to keep it. I didn't have him on my list at all, so good for him. Anybody else? Corners. Yeah, there was a few corners that I liked. Again, we're missing one of them. Hayward's not on the list. This is another guy I was looking at from Grambling. He had some decent, okay times. 4.64, he's probably going to get burned. But if he can, at 6'3", 192, maybe he can play some sort of safety role for you, or at least maybe come in and... I don't have too much hope for most of these guys, honestly. There are some speedsters in here. But again, for running a 4.34 and your shuttle's 4.4, you're looking for 4 O's there. Maybe a 4.2, I'd be, like, hey, like maybe this guy's got something. But 4.4, even if you're off with your steps and your start, it's still not great. 1.57 split on a 4.3. Yeah, maybe he does need some more work. That would, to me, if you run a 4.3 and you got a 1.57 start, that means your start's pretty slow. And his broad and his vertical do produce pop, right? Because that's instantaneous. And being 5'8", this should be better. He should not have any problems of overcoming him standing still. So he could be a great example at 5'8", 167 though. What's he doing for you? He might have to be a slot conversion if he's anything. Because he'd have to really be amazing in this. 167, you are a liability on the defensive side of the ball. Even on special teams. Anybody else? Oh, yeah, he's actually... Okay, so him running a 4.47 at 188, 5'10", decent split here. Looks... Oh, these are okay. Safeties, we had Huggins in there, right? Yeah, so he's probably... Him and Davius Richard probably, coming out of this, had the best profiles. 6'1", 211, so the guy can play safety, just a general defensive back, special teams at that size and weight. Wingspan's decent, 40-yard dash, acceptable, right? Decent 10-yard split for the dash and the size. Vertical getting close to 40, that's great. Broad over 11, that's awesome. That's good for him, yeah. That's actually a great number. And a 4.36 in the shuttle. Again, probably would want to get him down to like the 4.2s. But his 3 shuttle, yeah, so he's probably your winner. John Huggins. That's listed. Again, this is not comprehensive. There are people missing from this. So if I'm looking, I mean, that's the thing. Like, here, we want to talk about what the Patriots are looking at. In the draft. Like, we got 7, right? We got 7 picks, I believe, right now. I'm not sure if we're getting a comp. I think we might have a potential to get one, but not sure. So I think everybody believes a quarterback kind of has to happen, right? So that's 1. 2 offensive linemen, that's 3. At least 1 wide receiver, that's 4. At least 1 tight end, that's 5. At least probably 1 edge, a safety, and a tackle. I mean, that's 8. And that's being notice how I'm saying at least 1. That's like 8 picks. That's not including a running back. At least 1. You probably even have to put a running back in there. So there's like 9. Probably have to have 2 running backs. You probably have to have 2. You would like to have 2 running backs. You'd like to have 2 tight ends, right? Finding another slot corner. I know Miles Bryant and Jonathan Jones are kind of our guys, and there's Marcus who's coming back. But let's say this: Marcus Jones, not sure if he's actually a upper end slot corner. Jonathan Jones, right now, is probably going to still have to be one of our perimeter guys. So, and Miles Bryant has his days, has his niche situations, but again, also has times where he's just completely overmatched. So, even a slot corner or another perimeter corner. Zay Bolden looks good. I know Alex Austin looks good. But maybe, another guy that can play some hybrid there. We also still probably need a legitimate coverage linebacker. Yeah, it's just, we could have 12 draft picks this year, and that would be enough to be like, okay, we're going in good, but we still need to bring some UDFAs. Bring some guys in the rookie minicamp and test them throughout the summer, just see if we can amass as much people. This is an opportunity with some of these guys that are really under the radar from HBCUs that don't get the limelight, that do perform well. And, for all you out there, it's like, well, these guys aren't coming from great programs. Okay, but let's also talk about some of the best players in NFL history coming from HBCUs. I mean, if you were to make lists of like probably top 5 for each position, there's probably at least one guy from the HBCU on that list. I mean, some of the best players in NFL history. I mean, like Jerry Rice is always the great example. But even like guys like Steve McNair, I mean, Art Shell, I mean, come on. The list is really long. And, I mean, even Michael Strahan. I mean, there's another, quote-unquote GOAT, right? HBCU guys. Plenty of examples of guys who've come out of HBCUs that didn't have everything that was as the big powerhouse FBS teams. So why can't we get some of these guys to come out and at least make, the practice squad get elevated? Now, what could we do? Yeah, you could have. This would be, I would target. There's no reason not to target this guy. I don't think he has a big injury history. Jarvin Howard, Syracuse guy, just went down here after he wasn't getting a shot at Syracuse. After returning, after COVID, he didn't get a shot what he wanted to, and then he came down here. So why not? Why not bring him in? It's at least somebody to fill in a spot. And you know what? Give him a shot. Any wide receivers, I wouldn't pull the trigger on most of these guys, but hey, if no one else, if they're not getting called by anybody else, give them a shot. There's plenty of guys in here. Any of these linebackers, offensive line. Like, again, Lubert Danellis, I pointed him out. He's not on here. Joshua Hayward as a corner. Both of those guys have great numbers and great solid tape. This guy's interesting. He could be possibly a nickel corner, right? Or, nickel safety, whatever you want to say. Slot safety, coming up and covering. Let's see what he can do against tight ends, right? Or he comes in on the blitz. Maybe some of these guys are just simply coming in to be, developmental guys that you can put on, just special teams. But you know what? Maybe they are just special teams. You like, whatever. yeah, maybe they are just special teams, but we're not going out and, spending millions of dollars on them. And, all they do is special teams. Maybe this guy has potential to play special teams and then come in and at the same time, again, have his niche Miles Bryant days. And they're not going to cost you an arm and a leg. This guy's interesting. I'm not sure if he can play corner at the NFL level at 167 pounds. Maybe he can add 10 pounds. Not a crazy big wingspan. His hand size isn't great. Not sure what he can do, but maybe there's something he can, you can find something for him to do. This guy's got a massive wingspan, 4'6", decent enough, maybe to play some safety, special teams. John Huggins, I'd highlight that dude. That's a safety. We need a safety, right? We need one in general coming into this year. Jalen Mills still up for his question. Adrian Phillips is gone. So that's an open spot. Maybe he can at least add depth. You got Bledsoe, that's also still an option. So you got Bledsoe, maybe they could step up and do something this year. And then you have Huggins kind of backfilling where he's coming up. Anyway, so not a lot of guys that I would highlight, but I guess this is one of the situations where you kind of have to watch these guys in their pro day. And there's a lot of other guys that are not here that will probably test well out on their pro day from HBCUs. I mean, a great example would be last year, Zay Bolden. I mean, Zay Bolden's one of your best freakish athletes in the whole entire draft last year, and we got him in, the 7th round? And if it wasn't for his concussion, I'm pretty sure he was going to make the 53. I think, obviously, he was one of the better kick returners in all of college football while he was there. And he's a decent perimeter guy. Meanwhile, he went under the radar because Dion had him playing slot, which he was okay at. He was okay. But the way he's built and the way he moves, much better perimeter guy. Right? And I think he could be an awesome free safety for his size and speed. But if he can play perimeter corner, go for it. But that's a great example of a dude that came from an HBCU under the radar, but once all of a sudden he got the NFL, Belichick was like, this guy can play. Just like I said, unfortunately, he got that concussion. Anyway, I'm gonna end it here. I don't know let me know if you guys watched it, what you guys think. I suggest taking a look through these guys again. The guys I just highlighted. Go do some investigation, do some research on them. I will be monitoring them for their pro days, and then let's see where they go up on the board. I'm gonna start filling that in probably next week after the combine's over. Anyway, hope you guys enjoyed. If you like this content, please like and subscribe. And as always, thanks for watching.